Hello everyone, welcome back to another Roblox Rise of Nations video. It's Phoenix here. In this video, a few others and I recreated the WW1 map in a private server and played in it. I played as the German Empire. If you want me to remake more maps in Rise of Nations like the Napoleonic Wars, World War II or the Cold War, drop a like on this video. Before I show you my gameplay, I will talk a bit about the rules, the balancing, and how I had set the event up. If you find it boring, just use the timestamp below and skip parts of the video. If you want to join future events, you can join my Discord server down below. I'll also make YouTube posts if I am about to start an event. So unlike public servers, most of these events are team versus team oriented. On the Entente side, we have the UK, France, and Russia, with Italy and the US being allowed to join the war late. They had a total population of 196.5 million plus 307.2 million. On the Central Power side, we have Germany, Austria-Hungary, Bulgaria, the Ottoman Empire, and Germany's colonies. They had a total population of 184.9 million. By the way, since the Entente side had a way higher population and stronger economy, the Central Powers had 3 more players on their side. Before actually making the map in game, I painted a province map for Ron. I have made Rise of Nations events in private servers for close to 2 years now. I was even an event manager for the official Ron Discord server at one point. I just want to say that the province borders have just improved so much over the years. Like Austria-Hungary doesn't look hideous anymore. After that, I hopped into Ron and started changing the borders of countries. How you do this is that you conquer parts of the country and piece them out with only the cities you need. For the rules, you can read them here. I am showing this just so I don't get comments saying something like, "Why aren't anyone using planes?" There is an artillery limit to prevent the server from lagging to death with 1 million ping. It helps make the game actually playable. Planes and anti-air are also banned since they cause an insane amount of lag, but little to no return in terms of gameplay. If you build planes in a private server event, the other side will just respond with anti-air and your planes are useless. You are only allowed to have a limited amount of ships, just so nuking land units with your ships while maintaining naval superiority wouldn't be possible. There is also no scorching allowed, since that is just a cheat move, but people are probably just going to break this rule. I also limited the amount of factories allowed per player and how much they could sell just so players wouldn't hoard resources, like titanium, and everyone can make factories. With the political power I got, I went straight for fascism and limited conscription. The extra manpower gain and military upkeep cost reduction for fascism makes it better than democracy and communism for a player requiring active frontline management. In this game, I went straight for support range, which is easily the best technology even if you only have a small number of artillery. Troops will die in droves when they try to attack your frontline. I also built my factories and imported the resources required. If you play Ron often enough, you probably remember how much resources you need for factories. Since war is on the horizon, I started spamming out as much infantry as I can. I used the form line tool to make a front line with my infantry. Each frontline regiment should only have around 100k infantry. Any more infantry than that should be kept as reserves out of enemy artillery range to reinforce your lines. Austria was barely covering their front line, so I sent another million infantry to help them against the Russians. You should also train up your infantry as it can provide 75% extra attack and defense for your units. I also got some ships and artillery before the war started. It's nice seeing my colonies, which are players, shipping men to Europe to join the Battle of France. They will actually prove to be vital to the war effort. We had 5 years of truce to prepare ourselves for the war, and now that it's over, it's time to declare war on Belgium and Liechtenstein to pursue the Schlieffen plan. With that, we destroyed the Belgian infantry and their artillery are now in retreat. I don't know why, but there's 80,000 Russians on the ship, sailing via land to Berlin. I noticed this fairly quickly, so I sent my reserves back to protect Berlin. In terms of casualties, 6 million men have died within half a year. I decided to advance into Russia now that his front line was weakened by my artillery fire. My colonies are just carrying here. They sneaked troops into France such that my artillery could start damaging troops in Paris. While the French killed my 50 artillery units, my colonies were just on auto-capture, causing even more chaos. Due to my artillery fire, the Russians retreated back to St. Petersburg to avoid further casualties, while they built up their army even further. I took advantage of that and carefully maneuvered my troops into Warsaw to shorten the front line if he comes back. Unsurprisingly, my colony managed to capture Paris and will even decimate the remaining British infantry and tanks. Well, this wasn't a historically accurate World War 1. Just imagine one day you were in Paris and you see an African German soldier on top of the Eiffel Tower waving the Imperial German flag. Yeah, that's how weird it sounds. Bulgaria was focusing on tanks, but he had to leave early. Russia didn't retreat from the Caucasus though, but their bad management led to the Ottoman Empire annihilating their entire army. As I thought the British Navy wasn't around, and they were probably trying to prevent more troops from my colonies reaching Europe, I landed my infantry in London. As our front line was getting thin from advancing into Belarus and Ukraine rapidly, the Russians counterattacked. Even though they had the numbers on their side, remember that our infantry was trained to the maximum before the war started, and made our infantry twice as strong as theirs. During this time, I also helped my faction declare war on random Balkan countries, cause why not? I don't know why my colonies were still there advanced deeper into Russia after seeing their horde of infantry coming back for revenge, and this time it is even larger. I entrenched my infantry in major cities and hoped for the best. I also sent the infantry I had from France to Russia. I used the infantry to make a front line on the Eastern Front in case their offensive failed. Meanwhile, I kept harassing the British infantry with my destroyers to prevent them from replenishing. Well, their offensive succeeded and Russia started scorching. I thought Russia was going to rage quit. However, they just kept building more infantry en masse attack and required conscription to defend their country. Since the US had joined the war, I started building up the French coastline with my reservist infantry. I declared war on Italy for Austria to attack since they still haven't joined the war. The US landed 2 million infantry in southern France. However, their fleet that guarded the infantry over the Atlantic Ocean was rather lacking. Thus, I sailed my entire fleet down to southern France, sank their fleet, and started bombarding the 2 million infantry. I soon ended their dream of liberating France with more reservists from Berlin. Russia was split between my colony and Turkey, but somehow Austria managed to get to Moscow first. Since the US Army and Navy were dead, I started shipping more troops from Europe to North America. I made 3 naval invasion locations to ensure that they couldn't defend against them. This is how the borders of all Central Powers countries are doing. As you can see, we've actually grown a lot. We will even have an Austrian Texas later. Oh my, this is cursed. well, we've pretty much killed all the Entente countries. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, comment. You can watch me playing Switzerland fighting everyone else in the server on the left, and my most recent video on the right.